Făgă să mă mani de călat Gokh-Bi system de cat Ya di crazy chicky star Nyongi move to Ben inside Aha!
Africa, she is the flower and the tree, the river and the sea, the sun and the moon from midnight to high noon. Oftentimes she's dancing with gold around her ankles and diamonds on her feet. Gems from the gods overflow in her backyard, and when her sons play the drums and her daughters start to sing, every ear and heart is held captive in the rhythm of Africa's love. Music flows from her mouth when she speaks, and all her children dance with her. Africa.
From tradition to innovation, rap to Mbalach, all the way from the nation of Senegal. Santi Yalach, Khom Guignon, Senegal-America. The Echontine rap is gonna be telling you what it is to be from where they're from, what it is they've seen and why they've come, bringing their funky, strong Africa rhythm. Tomorrow you're a junkie for the songs and Gokh-Bi system. This is all about the real Africa. This is all about the real Africa. Lima Khao Khao Dembu Africa. This is all about the real Africa.
Lima Khao Khao Dembu Africa. Lima Khao Khao Dembu Africa. Lima Khao Khao Dembu Africa.
Lima Khao Khao Dembu Africa. You can't see what's going down there from here. You gotta be close enough to feel the joy and the tears. 21st century griot in your house. You feel good about that. You say wow. You say wow. Say wow. Yeah, you gotta say wow.
The river next to my house is running with gold this morning. Noel Suma Dukawai, Babagan Hamki Medan. Come to my house and see how I live. I'm walking on this October day thinking of my visit last month to the family home of Masamba Diop, master tama drum player and Senegalese griot. The griots are the troubadours, soothsayers, and historians employed in the courts of the West African chiefs. They are entrusted with the collective memory and identity of the villages, cities, and empires of West Africa, and they impart their knowledge through music and storytelling. They were the heartbeat of the community. The griot talking or tama drums spoke the news of the day, using the same African rhythms later found in jazz, blues, calypso, salsa, spirituals, and now rap and hip-hop. In the Americas, our bodies move in harmony with these very familiar rhythms. This is a story about a complex and beautiful cultural sharing across centuries between Africa and the Americas. The catalyst was slavery, but the treasure is this profound blending of musical traditions. I traveled on that second trip to Senegal with Tony Vaca, percussionist, composer, and educator, a longtime friend and a constant inspiration. Our last trip was to Dakar, but this time we arrive in Saint Louis to stay in the family compound built by Masamba's father, a Senegalese griot and a marabout, the educated Islamic cleric. He built this house for himself and his 4 wives and his many children. Noel Suma Dukawai, Babagan Hamki Medan. Come to my house and see how I live. As we enter the compound, I'm struck by how aristocratic and relaxed this family is. Sitting under the tree in the center of the courtyard, they share intimacies of all kinds. The marabout, their scholar, cleric, is working serenely, while family members relax together, conversing and caring for each other.
Yes.
Rice, milk, sugar, yogurt.
Everything happens in this courtyard. Eating, ritual prayer, dancing and drumming, laundry, visits from friends. This place seems to be close to the heart of Masamba's childhood memories.
My father is having 4 wives. You understand? 4 wives.
have the old wife, have friends, have children, have everything in the house. The house is having like 30 people. Everybody live together, eat together, like when you come. My father is my big teacher all my life. My father told me, Masamba, try to make the kids happy. When you make the kids happy, God will make you happy.
We are in the land of the Wolof, Fulani, Serer, Serachole peoples. Senegal itself is a land of many traditions. The confluence of cultures here is an essential part of this exploration. The rivers of Senegal flowing from far across Africa have brought traders from the Middle East and all over North Africa for many centuries. Kari Njiri, a friend of ours, is a radio producer who grew up in Kenya and the US, whose insights into African culture and music help frame this complex history and its profound effects on American music.
Senegal was part of a vast area, linking trades along various societies throughout the Sahel and northern Africa through the Sahara. It was the trading of gold and silver and salt with Arab merchants from the north and east that brought Islam to the region in the 11th century as the religion spread westward across the Sahara and the Mediterranean area, the so-called Maghreb from Arabia. Over 90% of the Senegalese people practice Islam. The religion is so dominant that Senegal houses the largest mosque in all of Africa. The cultural retentions of West Africa have been preserved in so many aspects of the American experience, such as the vocal tradition of song and storytelling. You hear of the griot, the cultural historians, as it were, in many societies in West Africa. They were the repository of a history of a village, of its people, its lineage, its traditions and customs. They told you through song the life of a community. They were the link between rulers and the prominent and ordinary kinfolk. They were the link between the past and the present. You can see that tradition maintained in various degrees in the West. Whether it's the calypsonian in Trinidad, the reggae DJ in Jamaica, the sambista in Brazil, the bluesman in the Mississippi Delta or Chicago, or the rap or hip-hop artist in urban America, they all can be linked to the griot. They serve the same purpose of narrating and reflecting the lives of a community through song. For better or for worse, it's joys and loves as well as the trials and tribulations, the beautiful and ugly realities.
So many West African peoples were imprisoned and sold into slavery. They were the fathers, the mothers, the blacksmiths, the musicians, the warriors, the children. They were everything you need to make a society, a village, strong. They were sold into slavery, but they were not the slaves. And I'm never going to think of them that way. They were the ancestors of my friends right here, right now, in Senegal. And they were the folks who came to the Americas, who brought their social and musical traditions. And even today, as an American musician, it's some of their traditions that are part of my tradition. It's a powerful connection across distinctions of race and culture. It's our link between Americans and Africans.
Tony and Masamba share a fun and complex relationship.
How is the song? What are the words of the song? So the two of them are sitting there, side by side, singing away, clapping away, and Tim is repeating the song kind of to Abdul. Tim is like singing to Abdul. Remember, he's going, my house is your house, my food is your food, my car is your car, my keys are your keys, my wife is not your wife. And Abdul, he gets up in his chair like with his arms, and he's shaking his legs like this. He's like, he can't even stay in his seat. It's so funny to him. That was a good day.
There is something healing in the way these two men reach deeply into the past through a musical heritage they share and bring that wisdom as a call to the future. Through their Senegal-America Project, young people on both sides of the Atlantic become familiar with each other. It's a personal and professional connection with access to audiences and media. In this intimate context, they sing and tell their stories.
You see Masamba in so many settings, and in every one of them, he's comfortable. He's comfortable in front of 300 cameras in Paris, and he's comfortable in his backyard playing for the baptism of a child in the neighborhood. So in a sense, he looks like a very, very modern guy. But if you really get to know Masamba well, I think he is very, very much like the griots in a timeless kind of way. What do they do really? They embrace the tradition, they paint a picture of who they are and who their community is. So from my point of view, these are the very skills. He's employing the skills of the ancient musicians in a modern world. Just being around him reminds me of the ancient civilization that he comes from. And the heritage, the lineage, the way he looks on his ancestry, the way he talks about family and his place in the music, his place in West Africa, the way he talks about his language, even teaching me Walla. He teaches me correct Walla so that I can get a real grasp of what was spoken of a long time ago. And it's not that he's trying to live in the past, it's that past lives with him, which is why so much of the modern world is hungry for that, because the values are clear, they're all about one-on-one, they're all about a sense of lineage, where you come from, so that you can go into the future, but with the real raw materials you need. And that's, from my perspective, the ancient African world setting you up right.
Ain't we blessed by our tears, sorrows, and pain? Ain't we blessed with the power to be whole again? Ain't we blessed with joy? And ain't there a lesson to be learned just by counting the blessings? Ain't our blessings something to teach us all that every moment is precious? So please heed the call. We're all gonna die. Nobody leaves here alive. Kiss your dreams so that you can survive the sometimes brutal place we live. The sometimes that there ain't no one to give the light, the love, the hope, and I'm guessing we all could use countless blessings.
Very different to really get to know somebody and use what you know and your skills as a way to build intimacy instead of just perform and stay back. So both of us took the leap right away to really get to know who we were. And by virtue of that, the music, our individual music, seemed to have gotten stronger and closer together. So he's let me know him, and I've taken the risk to let him know me. That changes everything. You don't train for that kind of generosity of spirit. You just have some to give, and if you're lucky, someone has some to give back. So, we just keep, we're lost in it now. It just keeps going around.
Tony has expressed his deep caring for Masamba by composing a praise song, a rich African tradition for his friend, the Tama Doctor.
The reason I really call him the Tama Doctor is two reasons. One is it started, me calling him that, started with him repairing all these drums. I was at his house for the first time, and I had just arrived that morning, and I brought my balafon. And knowing that I was going to travel, I had put off the overhauling of my balafon until I got there. I got there, I unpacked, and I was working on my balafon. Masamba gets a box from Germany. He opens it up, and there's 4 Tama drums in serious need of some repair. I mean, these Tama drums looked like they had just come to the emergency room from a serious accident, So he pulls them out, and one by one is fixing them. And I'm doing my balafon, and we're just very quietly hanging out. And after a while, I see him turn these, sad-looking instruments back into full health, and I say, man, Masamba, you're the Tama Doctor, man. You should hang up a sign, Masamba Joe Tama Doctor. And I said that, and as I said it, the cadence of it just kind of hit me. I said, yeah, because whenever people hear you, they're going to get down when you come around. And the music and the medicine, yeah, it's all your Wolof sound. And all of a sudden, I was just playing. All of a sudden, it was coming out. An hour later, it was down.
You got the marabou of marabous. You hear his time of telling you. From the window in the city where he began, you can see the partisan eagle that helped shape the man, that helped shape the soul of Don de Leñol. With Tukulur, Sarah Wallach, Sarah Hole, now the man, the tradition, the drum, and the sound. They're here to tell you once again it's time to get down to the work, the passion, the magic, the soul, cause it's a planetary dance that makes the planet whole. So bring on the doctor that brings on the sound, that brings on the dance, and let's all get down to bringing on the work that brings on hope and real knowledge of yourself. So bring on Masamba Joe, Masamba Joe, Tama Doctor, Tama Doctor, Tama Doctor, Tama Doctor. Time Masamba take the Tama.
The Senegal region plays a pivotal role in understanding the history of Africa and the New World. And perhaps there's no more important aspect of that relationship than the island of Gorée, just off the coast of Dakar. Now, this island, perhaps more than any other, embodies the ties that bind Africa to the Americas. For over 300 years, it was from this island that millions of captured Africans were shipped to work as slaves in the cotton and sugar and tobacco plantations of North and South America and the islands of the Caribbean. And to be sure, there were many shipping points stationed along the west and central coasts of Africa, from Mauritania in the north to the Angola-Congo region in the south. Elmina in Ghana was one of the largest, but Gorée was considered the most important because it's the closest point on the African continent, geographically speaking, to the so-called New World, particularly North America. It wasn't just people from the immediate surrounding area that were brought here, but folks from the vast hinterland that were transported along the major rivers to the coast and onto Gorée. Now, the major European powers at this time, the Portuguese and the French and the British and the Dutch, they all fought over and occupied Gorée because of its location. At the so-called House of Slaves, you see various tiny rooms, dungeons really, cells where people were kept, separated by age and by sex. And right above the cells was the sleeping quarters for the Europeans. And there was also a church. And one wonders, how could anyone pray and sleep peacefully with all that was going on underneath? I mean, no soundproofing could have hidden the groans of terror that undoubtedly were coming from beneath. And from these dungeons, they were passed through a narrow passageway to a docking area, loaded onto the boats that would offload them onto the ships out further at sea. Now, this passageway was called the Door of No Return. Once you were set through, there was no way to turn back. And upon reaching this Door of No Return, many of those captured would instead jump into the sea and drown rather than get on the boats to face an uncertain future.
And slavery took more than 300 years here in God Island. From 1536, starting by the Portuguese, the Dutch, English, French, until 1848 is the date where French stopped slavery. With Victor Schleusing, who is the man who stopped slavery here in God Island.
With Tony, you have another return of sorts, a different kind of invasion, if you will, of Africa, but a peaceful one. Now, here's a person who, as a young man, coming out of New Jersey, being so captivated by the rhythms of African life, that he decides to venture out on his own from his own immediate and comfortable surroundings in America, to experience, to see for himself the so-called Dark Continent. And he goes, and he keeps going back again and again and again, learning more and more about the rhythms, the cultures, the peoples and traditions, making connections, embracing not only his own but other cultures and peoples, linking individuals into one larger family. This is a more positive kind of invasion and one that I'd like to see more of.
One child's mother whose touch makes whole. One forgotten dream in the grand scheme of schemes. One moment of peace in a world of hope that seems to scream its own name and lay in vain pain for the sweet dark night. It just becomes day again. Nungi Santa Yalla Agion and Tebi, we thank and praise God that our powers may be great.
Tuni jël naa suma xalaat dëgg ko yàlla dënk ko Muhammad sallallahu taala alayhi wa sallam jël suma fit wékk ci waaxi dun lan mooy waaxi dun ki nga xamee ne mooy nekkaal.
Masamba and I are working together to bring some young players in a group called Gokh-Bi System to come here to sing their rap stuff, to dance it out, to tell their stories, to elaborate exactly that this whole rap and hip-hop thing is very big in Senegal. They're taking it in a direction that is uniquely Senegalese. And I think they're blowing the minds of their American brothers and sisters, in a big way.
We are Gokh-Bi System. We are here to fight for peace, love, justice. My mission is to tell something good, around the world, to tell right, to stand for peace, for justice, to stand to do something good. God, we need it. If we don't have peace, it's not life. If we don't have justice, it's not life. If we don't have love, it's not life. We need it in the world. We are a messenger. It is our mission. Peace.
And Gokh-Bi System is like saying street system, neighborhood system. And all these young men work together to write songs and to perform them. So they came by to Masamba's house, they just started demonstrating what they do.
Why people who try to fight in a bad way, I say, here we cry, now our eyes are full of tears. You younger generation, don't shed your tears. We might fight for peace and justice, so as to resurrect our time to die là. Donc regardez sans pencher, ces pays bombardés, ces enfants massacrés. Quel regret, quel retrait, quel retard grandiose, car l'avenir leur appartient. Check ça, the stronger people are making the low and the weak ones suffer from it. We quick it dit. Pour quelle cause sont-ils toujours les causes principales de cette cause? Ont-ils senti la dose et l'effet qu'il fera?
So the music of Gokh-Bi System is a combination of
kind of the ancient griot call, storytelling, a little bit of that, a little bit of the contemporary acoustic sound in Dakar, Senegal, and a little bit of the kind of rap, a combination of African and African-American rap style. And put all that together and you have what Gokh-Bi System was doing. That particular day, they played a song using a string instrument, a little bit like Dusunguni and Kora. They used a djembe, and then they called, in a chorus form, they called in French, and then spoke and rapped in Wolof, and a little bit of English. So a little bit of rap, a little bit of griot calling to the neighborhood, a little bit of call to prayer, and a very serious message to the neighborhood about come see that the truth is broken-hearted. Come see, how we live here and what our issues are. And it was an invitation, but it was also a call. They invited us in to hear it, but in telling it and seeing what the words were, it was about the burden of what's happening in contemporary Dakar. And in a sense, it's almost an ancient voice calling from another time to say, look what's happening.
Ultimately, the reason behind our efforts in creating the Senegal-America Project is to demonstrate what I see as obvious, that we're connected in many ways. We can see these connections in the vast world of peoples and music that form the common ground between West Africa and America, in the troubled and wonderful history that we share, and most especially, I think, in the future that we try to shape. So from the point of reference of America and our many cultures to the backyard of Massamba Diop in his hometown of Saint Louis, Senegal, seems like in both our worlds it's our diversity that's our treasure and our strength. And these forces sometimes conspire to keep us apart, but other times they work to pull us together. So we can see our worlds as separate and different, or we can embrace the history that brings us right to today. So with that in mind, I see us continuing this journey, calling to each other in Wolof and in English. Newell Samadukwai Bubuge Hamli Madan, which means come to my house if you want to know how I live. In 1998, when I was invited to come to Senegal by Baba Mal, all I could think was that I had to bring my entire troupe, and I did. Tim Moran on saxophones and flutes, Joe Salins on electric bass and percussion, and Steve Lakesh on balafone, tomadrum, and percussion. Tim is one of the really most masterful players of the saxophone I've ever worked with. He's well studied in the jazz tradition, he's played with many of the Motown greats, and he knows his way around the world of world music. Joe Salins. Joe plays electric bass, drums, drum set, hand percussion, keyboards. He's Mr. Everything, and he's an amazing player. He's, I suppose, famous for his speed of light playing on the bass, but it's way more than just facility. He brings a real sense of music to everything that he touches in the ensemble. Steve Lakesh. Steve has studied in Ghana, in Senegal. He's an archivist, a real folkloric traditional player, studier and connoisseur of the many convolutions and complicated rhythms of West Africa. But not only that, he brings a certain sense of music in America. He applies the funk that he knows in America and expands on these traditions. These guys are the backbone of the World Rhythms Ensemble.